the red flags that hurt you the most aren't always the most obvious ones. Oftentimes they'll start as just small little behaviors that seem normal at first, but over time, they gradually start to deplete your energy and your confidence until one day you wake up alone and confused, wondering how you missed all the signals. In today's video, I'm gonna go over 4 hidden red flags, why they matter, how you can spot them early, and what you can do when you spot them so that you can start having relationships that work for you. When I was married, my wife would come home pretty consistently and just unload. Unload about her coworkers, her job duties, her mother, my mother, the dogs, me. Her friends weren't calling her enough. It seemed like every day somebody had wronged her. There was some issue that had to be vented about. The whole world was against her. And at the time, I was a typical nice guy, and I thought my duties to be a good husband was to sit there and listen and be attentive, make sure she felt that she was in the right and that they were in the wrong, and then because I wanted to help, I would then offer solutions that she could do to solve these problems. Always trying to give her a way to reinforce that she is right and here's what I would do to help you. And it didn't ever correct the behavior. If you're a nice guy, I think you understand maybe that this is a red flag, but it's in your nature to want to help. So the very first red flag is what I call playing the victim. So what makes this a red flag? Well, the first thing is that you're going to become her next victim. When she runs out of other targets, it's naturally going to shift to you. When there's conflicts in the relationships and she has no one else to blame, she's going to say, you're attacking me, or it's your fault that this is happening. The second reason is that it kills your masculine energy. You have to walk on eggshells because you have to make sure she feels good about the situation. She's got to be right and other people are to blame. And your confidence starts to erode because you're trying to prove that you're good. You're a good part of her life. Everybody else is wrong, but you are the one positive thing that she has going for her. Third reason is that it's a manipulation tactic. She's trying to get you to solve her problems rather than having to take any sort of personal responsibility. It's going to make you feel guilty when you try to have any boundaries or express your needs because she's going to play off as she's a victim and that you're in the wrong. The fourth reason this is a red flag is that it reveals core character flaws. It shows she's not capable of taking accountability in her part of the problems. It also shows she'll never learn or grow from conflicts. And it demonstrates that she sees herself as powerless, putting the burden on you to be there for her and to solve her problems. And the fifth reason why this is a red flag is that it creates an exhausting dynamic. Every day you become her emotional dumping ground. There's always new enemies. There's always new problems that have to be solved. And nothing is actually resolved because everything is somebody else's fault. Over the years, I've realized that women do not want you to solve their problems. They do want you to listen. They do want you to be supportive, but they're not in need of a white knight. They don't need anybody to fix their problems for them. But what I do now is I get their feedback on what can they do to improve the situation. I believe in personal accountability, and I like to date women who believe in the same thing. So if they refuse to get over the victim mentality, I do not stay with them. But I try to bring it up so that they kind of solve their own problems. Interesting that this happened at work today. What led to those results? Is there anything that you could have done to maybe improve the situation? Or is there anything that you could have learned from that situation so it doesn't happen the next time? I'm very careful with who I spend my time with. And when you believe in personal accountability, it's difficult to want to be in a relationship with someone who's always finding somebody else to blame. So if you notice this red flag, try to nip it in the bud right away. And if you can't, it's probably time to walk away. If this stuff is resonating with you and you've noticed this stuff in your relationships, or you're looking to get some more information on how to get past this, hit the link in the description. You can join the clarity call. I'll go over, where you're at in the situation, some steps that work for me. And by the end of that call, we'll get you some clarity on where you want to go and how you can start getting the relationships you want. So when my ex and I first started dating, she did not really have any of her own friends. At the time, I thought this was fine. It's not, maybe it's a little strange, but it's not a big deal. She was my first girlfriend, so I was actually kind of happy to get all that affection, all that attention. I wanted to spend all my time with her. But as things started to progress, it started to put a lot of pressure on me that I had to always be there for her. I felt like I was being guilt-tripped into not spending time with my friends. I thought I was being a good boyfriend, though. Yes, she is guilt-tripping me, but I understand where she's coming from. She has nobody else but me, so I'll go spend time with her. Deep down, I think I knew this didn't make me feel good. There was one time in particular, my friend was going to get deployed to Iraq. So we were doing a going away party for him. And at the going away party, she was not able to come because she was under 21. She called me on the phone that night, very upset, very jealous that I was out with other people and not spending time with her. And so I thought the right thing to do would be to go and leave the party, go spend time with her. So that's what I did. So the second red flag is that she doesn't have any friends of her own. So why is this a red flag? Well, the first reason is without her own friends, you become her only source of support and validation. It creates overwhelming pressure and responsibility that you're not going to be able to maintain. And it makes every mood, problem, discrepancy, anything that she's going through is now falls on your shoulder to manage. Second is that you become isolated from your support system. She guilt trips you for wanting to spend time with your friends, which then in turn eventually shrinks your social circle. And you start to lose that masculine energy because you're not spending time with your own male friend. Third, it creates an unhealthy codependency. She becomes overly dependent on you for everything. You feel obligated to fill every void in her social life, and the relationship becomes suffocating instead of supportive. And the final thing is she loses respect for you. Women are attracted to men who have their own lives, their own purpose, their own friendships, and abandoning your friends shows weak boundaries and lack of leadership. And she's unconsciously testing you to see what else she can get you to abandon. What I do now is I make sure to really dig deep into her friendships early on. I want to know, does she have a best friend? How often do they hang out? Does she have a group of friends that they go out and do brunches together? Just as much information as I can about her social life kind of gets you a little bit more into what her mindset is. How does she behave as well? It's kind of interesting if she has no close friends at all. I mean, sometimes there's situations where somebody's new to an area and they don't have any friends nearby, but she should have some friends from her childhood or people that she's still close with. So I like to find out more about that. And I also make it clear up front that I'm not going to abandon my friends. I do have a social life. I do have things that I like to do. I want to travel places. I want to go to these events, and I'm not going to not do that for anybody. And if this becomes an issue, you can always say, I know that you might not have anything to do tonight. That's unfortunate, but I am doing this. I've made plans for this. And if that's not going to work, we might not be compatible. For this third red flag, if you told me exactly what it was, I'd tell you, yeah, that's not a hidden red flag. It's pretty obvious. What are you talking about? But for me, when I was in my relationship, I was 21. Prior to this, I had never had any girlfriends, and my mindset was very defeated, very limiting. I thought it was because I was unattractive, I wasn't good enough, people didn't like me, I wasn't social. That's why I never had girlfriends. That's why the world was against me. It's because everybody has everything else. They're so lucky. I took this mindset into my relationship. And when I met my ex, she had that same kind of mentality. We're more focused on what other people have that we don't, rather than thinking of solutions on what can we do to get what they have. And I didn't really think of this as a red flag at the time, because it's like, oh, we connected. We have the same mindsets. We can talk about the same things. We can complain about the same things. We're connecting more and more. So the third red flag is an overly negative outlook on the world. So there's many things that make this an obvious red flag. For one, it kills any motivation for growth. Once you feel like everything's hopeless, you don't really try and put forth any effort. It gives you that why bother? They're born with it. They're special. I can't do that. And I know for me, it made me feel comfortable not having to take actions. I was able to blame others to make me feel content with what was happening. Second reason is when you have two partners that are both negative, it reinforces that victim mentality. Now we're connecting over why our circumstances aren't the way that we want. We start to enable each other's helplessness, and we never actually take any ownership. The third reason this is an obvious red flag is it creates a toxic echo chamber. When we're both having these negative thoughts, they start to get validated and amplified. And there's no one there to challenge them because it's just us two. Because we've reinforced and validated these beliefs, we never get a new perspective on what is possible. Fourth reason this is a red flag is that it attracts more negativity into your life. Negative people complain about the same things constantly. I know that's what we did. That's what I did. Eventually, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy where everything just starts to go wrong. And the fifth reason this red flag is so detrimental is that it prevents you from ever becoming your best self. It makes you comfortable in your circumstances. It takes away that accountability for you to want to change and to want to become better. And you don't have that mindset of this is actually something that is possible. So now that I've been out of this situation for a while, I am very aware of how people talk to themselves, talk to other people. If I notice people saying overly negative, they complain about their job, their friends, their parents, their coworkers, their situations. This is something that you can notice pretty early on. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. and say, hey, it sounds like you're having a lot of troubles with this. What's going on? Is there anything that can be resolved with it? I'll even point out, I do notice that you say this a lot, that you talk negative about your job a lot. Sometimes they're not even aware that they do it and they can make those corrections. But if not, then it's not going to work out. Your environment plays a huge part on your well-being, your relationships. And if somebody is talking negative about the world, their life, their just views in general, it's going to affect you in some way. So it's better to be out of that environment. Try to correct it if you can. If it's something that's never being improved, it is going to drag you down. It's going to be hard to become your best self if you're with somebody that has that negative mindset, that it could easily affect your behavior. So best to try to avoid it as much as you can. That's the third red flag. As I mentioned, before I met my ex, I was very low confidence. I didn't have any dating experience. So when I met her, I wanted to do whatever I could to make her happy, to keep her around. And this next red flag starts off very small, very innocent, but it eventually just grows bigger and kind of started taking away my masculine energy. We would watch movies. We would see attractive people on the street, and she would ask me, do you think that person's good looking? And I didn't know really how to react to this. I didn't want to make her upset. I didn't want to make her jealous. I got this trained out of me very quickly when I would say, at the time, I thought Shania Twain was very hot, and she would get very upset and very jealous. And so anytime she asked about it, I would always just lie and say that they're not that attractive, or I don't think she's that good looking. And it just starts with that little bit. And then it started to progress to anytime I would talk to somebody at work, there'd be some jealousy that, oh, do you think she's attractive? Are you what do you think about her over me? And it really got to a point where I never felt like I could socialize with any women. I couldn't admit that girls were attractive in movies, TV shows, wherever. And so it really took away some of my masculine energy, that I'm not able to just live human nature. Men are visual creatures. We are attracted to beauty. So the fourth red flag is just that extreme jealousy. So here's some reasons why this is a red flag. The first being is that it suppresses your natural masculine nature. You start to feel guilty for noticing normal male behavior, like noticing beauty. It also forces you to pretend that you're not visually oriented, and it makes you ashamed of your natural male instincts. The second is that it's also a covert way of controlling. She'll frame jealousy as, I just love you so much, I don't know what I would do without you. She's also using these emotions to manipulate your behavior without actually having to give a direct command. And you start getting trained to police yourself so that she doesn't have to do it all the time. The third thing that it starts to do gradually over time is that it kills your confidence and your authenticity. You start having to walk on eggshells about your natural responses. You avoid sharing things about yourself because you don't want to trigger her. And you start to lose touch with who you are as a man. Fourth, it reveals deep insecurities that'll never be satisfied. There is no amount of reassurance that you can give her that's going to fix her jealousy. She'll just find new things to be jealous about over time. And there's not enough love that you can give her that's going to get her out of her insecurities. And the fifth major reason why this is a red flag is it destroys attraction and polarity. Women are attracted to confident and authentic men. And the more you shrink yourself, the more that you deny your masculine essence, the more your confidence starts to go down. She starts to lose respect for you. And this cycle continues to repeat. She tries to get you to comply. And the more that you comply, the more respect she's going to lose for you as well. This red flag was tough for me in the relationship because I thought I was being a good boyfriend, a good husband, showing that she is the only one for me. I do care so much about you. I will never admit that other women are attractive, but it's a huge red flag and it does not work. What I do now is I don't hide my masculine energy. I can admit when a guy's attractive. I can admit when a girl is attractive. If a girl asks me if this person's attractive and she can't handle it, kind of a red flag and might need to walk away. But I'll also reassure them that, yes, they are attractive, but I'm with you. I like being with you. You're attractive. People are different. There's many, many, many attractive people out there that doesn't take away from you. The fact that people get jealous over that is more of an insecurity against themselves, I think that's a lot of that negative mindset, victim mentality. Because they're beautiful, they're taken away from me, which isn't the case. So I'm very upfront that, I'm not going to hide my masculine essence. If someone asks me, is that girl attractive? And I think she's attractive, I will say yes. It's not a problem. It's nothing against you. That's just the way it is. So be upfront with your masculine essence. You don't have to be ashamed that you're a man, that you find people attractive, that you find beauty in women, in situations, in whatever. It's human nature. You can't deny it. when you go against yourself, you start to dwindle away your confidence. You start to get trained a little bit. And you know deep down that you did find that person attractive and you're not being impeccable with your word. Per the Four Agreements. Check that book out. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that the red flags that hurt you the most aren't always the most obvious. And looking at this list, maybe they do seem obvious to you, but when you're in that situation, it can feel like these aren't red flags. Oh, she has a victim mentality. That just means that I'm needed. She needs my support. I'm being a good husband. I'm offering solutions. When she's got no friends, oh, I'm very special to her. I'm the most important thing in her life. When she's got that negativity mindset, oh, we connect on so many things. It's us against the world. Everybody is out to get us. We can do this together. And when she's being a little that hidden jealousy of getting upset when you find people jealous. Oh, well, I'm being the good husband by not admitting to this. I'm trying to be as supportive as I can. Happy wife, happy life. I'm going to deny my human nature to make you happy. When I look back at this, I didn't call them red flags. I just assumed that this was part of marriage. This was part of a relationship. I knew it didn't make me feel the best, but I thought that was just kind of what you did. Like this was just part of it. So knowing this now, I do recognize that they are red flags. They were very detrimental to my mindset, her mindset, being able to move on, to grow as a couple, to grow as a individual. So it was getting out of that situation that helped me recognize just how important it was to not only be aware of these red flags, but to avoid them now in my new relationships. If you notice, these red flags also aren't happening in isolation. First, there's somebody to blame. Then you're getting into isolation, not having your friends, your support system. Then your mindset is being changed. You guys have that negative bubble, that toxic echo chamber. And then you start to deny your natural instincts. So your confidence, your leadership is just continually going down. Most men won't recognize this pattern until they're already trapped in it again. So hopefully this video has helped clarify a little bit for you, made you aware of that. If you're looking for any help, moving past divorce, trying to improve yourself as a man, jump on that clarity call. We'll go through where you're at now, what's kind of preventing you from getting where you want to go. And by the end of that call, you'll have a good vision of where you want your life to go and some steps that you can take to get there. That's it for this video. If you want some more tips on how to stop being the nice guy, you can click the link above, and we'll see you next time.